Hey, Daniel. It should have started like a couple seconds ago. Not sure when you typed. Can you see me now, bud? I'm gonna try typing something here. I guess I'm in the right chat. I can't see the keyboard. I'm gonna have to get up 1 second. I'm gonna get a light. All right. Kind of an odd setup here because I need this light to see the keyboard because I'm in a construction zone and I got no light except for that one. Oh. Can you see me and hear me now, Daniel? I'm not sure. Let's see. You there, brother? Can't see you yet. It says it's broadcasting. This light. Fortunately, I need it for the keyboard, but it's messing with the camera. Ha ha, all right. How's it going tonight, brother? I'm still trying to figure this stuff out. And I apologize for this light. Like, that's better without it, but then I can't see the keyboard, right? If I put it behind me, but there's nowhere to put it. I'm going to shut it off for now. Maybe low, that might help. So, yeah. It's okay. All right, cool. So, got down here Saturday. I'm in Virginia. Just doing some work on the homestead. As you can see, probably behind me. I had a bunch of stuff planned, but ended up doing something completely different. First of all, I want to thank my subscribers. I kind of just linger a minute here and see if I get a few more viewers. Showing 3 viewers. But I just reached 1,000 subscribers last week. It was like teetering, right? Like it goes up and down. So I was at 998, 999. Then I was at like 1,003. Then I looked one day, it was back down to 998. And so, hey, Griffin, nothing here. You can't see or hear me, Griffin? Let me try typing. Back out and hit new tab. Yeah, it's kind of eludes me a little how this all works. But this is the first time I was able to do it without. No, you can't. Huh. I don't know. It's 2 tabs up. Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. I know I did that. Like I couldn't. Last time I did a live, I couldn't get the right. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, welcome, Griffin. I was just telling Daniel I'm down in Virginia here. Working on the homestead, as you can see behind me. It's a work in progress, and it's ongoing. But man, it's a lot of work, I tell you. It's a 650-mile ride, so it's not like I can just come down every weekend. But we were talking about the subs. I hit 1,000 subs, so I want to thank all my subs and everybody who's watching who's subbed. I appreciate it. Thanks for getting me to this point. Appreciate all of you. Yeah, I was watching your videos. Cool. I'm glad. Thanks, Griffin. So it came down. I originally had 2 weeks to scheduled to work down here, right? And a friend of mine who's a church builder missionary, he was going to come down. He was going to help me. His name's Ray. And he was going to help me do the collar ties where you see these trusses. Well, see where those pieces are going perpendicular? The trusses go this way, right? You see those pieces of furring? That's going to be the regular ceiling. And then I'm going to tip the camera up, but the trusses without the furring, that's from that point down to the rest of the room is going to be lifted up and collar tied. Hey, Teddy. How's it going, brother? Feed looks and sounds great. All right, Teddy. Good to have Teddy. Ken from Teddy's Gun Shop. He's got a cool little channel. If you guys get a chance, go over and check him out. Teddy's Gun Shop. If I can figure out how to do it, I'll try to leave a link when I go back and edit this video. I'll leave a link for it. I'm going to leave a link for Daniel's channel too, but I don't want the trusses falling on you. Thanks, brother. I don't want them falling on me either. I mean, my head's like almost like cement, but still, I don't trust it. But I'm gonna remove the trusses, and I'm gonna try to tilt this here. I don't know if you can see them. There's some 4x6 rough cut lumber there. I'm gonna put them in, so I lift them up a little bit and put them in as collar ties. So Ray, my friend who's a church builder, he's a missionary, goes around the country. He lives in a camper, him and his wife, and they work on church projects and parsonages and stuff like that. And he was in between projects. He was going to come help me. But he ended up throwing his back out. He's flat in his back. He can't travel. He can't, it's tough. So anybody, Daniel, I know you're a man of faith, and anybody else, I appreciate your prayers for Ray, that his back would be healed and he would be able to get back on his feet. Like, he's a missionary, right? He doesn't make any money. Like, he doesn't get paid. They get love offerings, and some, depending on the project, sometimes the church covers his travel expenses or whatever. But he really it really, like any of us would struggle when we're down and out like that financially, but for him, it's 10 times worse. So I just ask for prayers for him. All right, Griffin. Hey, Griffin, you know what? That is my first super chat ever. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I really do appreciate that, brother. I'll put it toward a new camera. I had an epic fail on my camera. I was trying to film some of the progress, and I was in the bedroom, and I kind of tripped over this board, and I had my camera out, and it dropped, and I rattled it. I could hear things shaking in there. It doesn't come on now. I can't see nothing out of it. $200 and something camera, which I know for cameras, $200 isn't a lot of money, but for me, it is. And it's the nicest camera I ever had. I had it, I don't know, 6 months, smashed it. I can't, this place is like, it's like Beirut the day after the war, the day after the big one hit, It's like, I shouldn't have that kind of stuff here and my laptop, and it's like a war zone. But anyway, I use my cell phone. Yeah, I'm going to be using my cell phone now for a while until I can figure that out too. But I really appreciate the super chat, brother. That's nice. It's awesome. Like I said, first one I ever got. So thanks a lot. So back to Ray. So Ray, he's seeing a chiropractor, and he's on the mend, I guess, starting to show a little improvement, but it's going to be a while. before he can work. We're hoping in a month or so he's going to be good enough to come out, and we're going to play it by ear. I got to see how it goes. But so I shifted gears. Because of that, I didn't do the beams. I started the wiring, started the rough electrical wiring, and I planted some blackberries. I have blackberry bushes at home, and so I tip plant them into pots, and then they get about that big. I snip them. And I'm starting to bring them down here. I did back in the fall when I closed, and I brought a couple. I think I got 6 or 7 now. And, when you first come down, you don't realize I put them like in this garden area. And so I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, I want to make a row, keep the garden area separate and make a row in the back. So I think if I have the time, because my priority's in here, but if I have a couple hours, I'm going to take those out of the garden and put them in the row. But the ones I brought this time, I started, and I have a video of it, but the camera's smashed and broken, so maybe I'll take a little clip on my cell phone and put it up. But I like to do the blackberries, so I got those starting. And did you get the camera on eBay? Nah, I'm thinking about it, but it seemed like a good deal, but I'm a little bit leery about buying stuff overseas. I gotta, I don't know, but why? Probably unfounded, but I did, I am. So, but I might do it. It is a good deal, and I'm, it's tough for me to spend the money, so I'm kind of cheap when it comes to that. So I'm gonna have to sit on it for a couple of days. But I'm looking for a laptop like last year's model to do videos. Yeah. This one's actually pretty old and obsolete, but it does the job. So. Prepper Rabbit in the house. Howdy, folks. Just thought I would hop in for a minute. Prepper Rabbit, how's it going, brother? Good to see you. So, as I said, so we couldn't do the beams, so I shifted gears and I started doing the electrical work. I planted a couple blackberries. I might get out there to transplant a couple more. But I did a lot of the rough wiring another day or so. I should be pretty close with that. I'm down till Saturday morning, so let's see what else, what little projects I can do here and there. And then what I'm doing is, like I said, I had 2 weeks, so I'm glad I'm glad you can make it too, brother. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going back Saturday. I'm going to bank the second week. I had approval for 2 weeks from work. I'm going to bank the second week, and then if Ray is able to come down sometime. He's saying maybe June, or if not, if it takes longer or whatever, whenever he can, then I may try to come down and use that second week then and go ahead and do that. I still had to come this week because I had a couple of doors we got were custom, not that they're custom doors, but they just weren't stock sizes. And the order came in, and so I had to receive the order because it was supposed to come this week. Because, again, we were going to do the beams and the doors. So I got 2 sliders, so you can't see it, opposite side. I'm pointing at it that way. There's a fireplace, and then right in, maybe I don't want to pull this apart, though. I can't move this around that far. But I'm going to put 2 sliders. And then over here, there's a French door. So that's south, and the sliders are facing east. So I'm going to try to open it up. This is all like one big open floor plan. And get a lot of air movement and a lot of sun and stuff. So you're live chatting with your phone. No, I'm on the laptop. So I got the camera that's fixed into the laptop, and the mic stinks. So I just use this mic on my headset. And me. Oh, he's talking to you. I'm sorry. Okay. So I had to come down to receive the door order, and I wasted almost a day with Lowe's. Lowe's is, man, it's tough. It's like pulling teeth. Like there were so many problems, like trying to do the scheduling, and then they called up and said, "Yeah, we're all set. We're coming out with your door." And I'm like, "With my door?" I'm like, "There's 4 doors," and he's like, "Well, no, we have 1." I was like, oh, well, it's supposed to be 4. So then I have to look into it. We can't find it. They call me back. Yeah, we have them. They're here. So we, mixed it up. So whatever. So we're going to come out later in the day. And it was just that whole day, that was Monday, yesterday, right? I didn't seem like I got anything done because I was on the phone 3 or 4 times for 40 minutes with Lowe's. It was almost 2 hours. I called Appalachian Power Company because I'm trying to, the service comes around, and I outlined this in another video, but if you're facing the house from the road, the service comes in on the left, and it goes around the back to a security light and comes around and attaches to the right side of the house, and the meter socket's in front. So I want to wire everything to the left and cut all that stuff out and just have the service come in on the left. So I'm trying to get in touch with an engineer from the power company to make sure, before I wire the whole place over there, that I can do that. And so, you talk to the lady in dispatch, and, she says, well, we can't, you can't talk to an engineer unless you have a work order. So she has to start a work order. I says, well, I'm nowhere near ready to order the switch, Well, we have to start the work order. So, okay, so I start it and then talk to the engineer, and then, it was just a hassle. Well, it was easy with the engineer. I explained the situation, what I want to do. He said, yeah, no problem. That's not a problem. So then I had to wait on hold and get back to the dispatcher to cancel the work order, and so and then I waited for Lowe's to call me back. I got disconnected with the power company up in Roanoke because the engineer was local, but the dispatch is in Roanoke. And so they're calling me back and waiting for Lowe's to call back. So I pick up the drill, I start drilling holes, and then Lowe's calls. While I'm talking to them, the phone beeps, it's the power company. Now, neither of these people you can call directly, because Lowe's, you got to go to their switchboard and get to this one guy in receiving. It's a nightmare. Same with the power company. There's no way to call the engineer. You got to go through this person who's, 60 miles away. So they try to call back when I'm on the phone with Lowe's. It's just crazy. So I say all that just to say that I spent the whole day Monday. I probably got about 2 hours worth of wiring done just because of everything else. I had bought a roll of Romex at Lowe's, and the way it's covered with the plastic, it's blue and you can't really see it. So I get it back here and I open it up and it's all mangled and the cover's ripped off it. It's like the way it came off the extruder, or just, I don't know, whatever. So I go back to Lowe's. Of course, it's a 20-minute ride, because I'm out in the middle of nowhere. So I drive back to Lowe's. I want to exchange it, So I go through all that, I exchange it, whatever, drive all the way back. And then the guy calls for the door, the whole thing. But then the doors come and the two sliders don't have the screens. So, of course, the drivers, you can't hold them up, and it's not their fault. They don't know nothing about it. So I call the guy who I ordered from. He's like, oh, no. I says, well, when I bought them, he told me the screens came with them. He's like, well, they're supposed to, but we didn't order them, and the way it got rung up, he didn't pay for them. So I was like, okay, well, order me the screens. Well, I'm on the phone for 40 minutes trying to figure out what doors they were, and, it's pretty simple, but I don't know. It's just the way things work, or the way things work that particular time, So you can't order them until you pay for them because they're special order. Again, supposedly, I don't know why, but so I had to pay for them. Then he says, well, they'll be here in 21 days. I'm like, okay, well, I'll be 650 miles away. So I got to figure that all out. You can't even begin to tell them that, figure that out with them. They don't know. Call Iflin's. Yeah, Iflin's. I was telling my wife, Iflin's is a local place back in Connecticut where we live. And before the big box stores, through the years, Iflin's was always the place. And there's this guy, Vern, that I know that works there. He was a neighbor of mine. You call him up, hey, Vern, how's it going? I need this. Okay, we'll look into it and I'll call you back. So I knew, okay, the order's placed. If there's a problem, he'll call. If not, then they'll just call me when it comes in a couple of weeks or whatever. You don't have to sit on the phone, wait for 40 minutes as he goes through the computer and checks every little thing. Here's, you're talking to somebody who knows the product, he knows what you want, and you just leave it with him, and he does his job, and you go back to work. And if there's a problem, he calls you, he has a question, he calls you back a half an hour later, hey, there's 5'6" and 5'8", which one did you want, whatever, but you can't do that with Lowe's. So Iflin's is awesome. Vern is still there. Yeah, I think Vern's gonna be buried under the steps there. But But you know, that's a whole other subject because that's like it's kind of what's happening to the country, you know, because you got these places. We grew up in the 70s and 80s doing these things, and we had these local places like Iflin's, and they had everything, you know. And you go there, like they'd have masonry supply stuff and lumber, and you get to know everybody there, and like it just is so easy to deal with them. And they've been there and they know the product, and you know, and then Lowe's and Home Depot come to town, and of course everything's a fraction of the price, and people flock there. And it's like, oh, you're in this huge place, and it's awesome, you know. And so nobody goes to Iflin's now. I think they just do like, you know, concrete supply. I don't even know if they carry lumber anymore, whatever. And so like, you know, and that's another thing. You go to Lowe's, it's like just to be able to find what you're looking for, it's like overwhelming. It's like sensory overload. There's so many different things, you know. It's hard. Hello, good evening from Aroostook County, Maine. David Genther Jr. Yes, Maine. I remember last chat. You're up there, right? Like way up there, northern Maine. That's awesome. Talk about winners, right? I'll be back. I have to go take my medicine. All right, prepper. Still have lumber. Iflin still has lumber. Okay, see? So, see, I'm guilty of it too, because I go to Home Depot back in Connecticut and Lowe's, and I should still be shopping there. But, you know, because when you want to look at things, you want to look at cabinets or look at doors, you go to Iflin's, you look at them in a catalog. You go to Lowe's, they got them all in stock. So there's some advantages to it, right? And the price. But see, this is what happens. We've got this culture now where, you know, Ken and I both have a friend that was, you know, they ran a bike shop in town for years and years and years. And the same thing, like Walmart came to town, they put them out of business. You know, like, because people can go up there and buy a bike for $79. Who's going to go spend $300 on the same bike? You know, or not that it is the same bike, it's the same kind of bike, but it's better quality, and they stand behind it and they work on them and they fix them. You save the money at Walmart. First time the thing breaks, you can't get anybody to help you. You throw it away and you get another one. It's like Tommy's, yeah. It's like a throwaway culture now, you know. And so I think we're just moving in that direction. We see when we were kids, and Ken from Teddy's Gun Shop, Ken Thomas in here, he's, you know, we grew up in the same town, right? Like Main Street, you know, there were shoe stores, and there was this, you know, a clothier, and all kinds of shops. And so that's what we did our whole lives. And I remember going with my mom when I was young, like Christmas time, Christmas shopping. And I used to dread it, right? But she would go to all these little different shops. And so you got to park the car and you got to walk up and down Main Street. Parking's limited. It's hard to find a spot, or you got to park 4 blocks away. You go to Walmart, you go in, they got everything under one roof, and it's cheap. And so we all, I think, you know, maybe not we all, but I mean, I am. Shame on me. I'm guilty of it too, you know. You start using these places for convenience, and then next thing you know, they drive all these little people out, and then you got all these knuckleheads that, you know, again, it's kind of on a tangent, but I did a video about working in the school system, right? You see these kids, you know, they're shot. They can't spell their own name. They can't tie their own shoes without help. And guess what? They're the ones that are going to be working in these places. But we're all doomed. Reedman's, yep. I remember going there for school clothes when I was a kid. Howard, Susie's, yeah, exactly. You remember them, Ken. You're the same era as me. I think you're a couple years younger, but I know. You're the same. Idaho here, by the way. Griffin, Idaho, huh? Oof. Yeah, you get some winters up there, too. So I'm in Connecticut. I mean, right now I'm in Virginia, but I live in Connecticut. And we get some pretty decent winters, too. I'm looking forward to coming down here. To get winter here, we're up in the hills a little, but not anywhere near the, you know, what we have up there. I'm going to go back and catch up on a couple of these comments. 70s and 80s, time flies. Lumber prices, yeah, lumber prices. I remember like 2x4s were like 90 cents. The first project I ever did, going back, 30, 40 years. Any further north, I'd be a Canadian citizen. That's right. We're talking about a friend I used to work with from Fort Kent, Maine. I think you're in that general area. we're getting a flood watch till further notice. Well, I tell you, yesterday it rained here, and the winds came through. It woke me up in the middle of the night because it's been humid, and it thunderstormed yesterday. We got over an inch of rain in like an hour. And when I went to bed, I left all the windows open because it's been hot and places wiped out. I don't have, obviously, no air conditioning, nothing. And I heard a big crash. I woke up in the middle of the night. The wind was so brutal. It came in and took a box off the counter. Like, it's crazy, the wind. But I think there was tornadoes like 30 miles south or something down in the Carolinas that came through. And we were under a watch or a warning or whatever for a while, but we never did see the tornado actually part of it. But, you know, we brother from Hampton, Virginia. Pretty over there. Yeah, I'm not familiar. I'm not too really familiar with the area. I'm in the general, like, Martinsville, the general area of Martinsville. So, look up September 24th. Look up September 24th. I'm not sure what that means. But, Hampton. Whereabouts is that, Griffin? Hampton, Virginia. What part of the state? Virginia's a pretty big state. Like, I'm down kind of near the North Carolina border. I come through, like, it's like a 9.5 hour ride. Like 4.5 hours of it is in Virginia. It's crazy. But yeah. So again, you know, I just want to thank all my subs for getting me to 1,000 subscribers and go over a little bit of the project, the changes, what I plan to do, and then last minute what I ended up actually am doing. What else do I got? The blackberries. Oh, my neighbor. I want to talk about my neighbor. I got a neighbor across the street. The guy is phenomenal. He's 78 years old, right? He could work circles around like me and 5 of my best friends. You know, like, not that I'm young, but I'm compared to him, I'm young. But he was out there. He's been coming over and mowing for me, and he's out there like we had, you know, the old owner was old, and like, I don't know if it's just I don't really know why anybody would do this, but he's been throwing garbage out there like for years, and then the briars and everything come up over it. You can't even see it, you know. And when I came down here, everything was green. I couldn't see it. And then I came at Christmas time, and all the greenery was gone, and I seen some of the stuff. I'm like, what the heck, you know? But my neighbor came over. He's got a tractor with a big brush hog. He's been brush hogging the back and cutting out brush and piling up the piles, putting the garbage piles, and really helping me out quite a bit. I'm gonna get a dumpster probably next time I come down. I gotta burn a bunch of stuff too, but so trying to get the yard cleaned out. You know, any bugs running around at night on you. You know what, Daniel? Bugs don't bother me, but I'm going to tell you what. I cannot stand snakes. And my neighbor was telling me, he showed me the skin out in the back. There was like a 7-foot black snake. And supposedly the black snakes will take down the poisonous snakes, and they take the mice and stuff. So, but I see salamanders. I see all kinds of crazy stuff. But no, fortunately, but now that you mentioned it, I probably won't be able to sleep tonight because I'll be paranoid about something, you know, because the place is bombed out. I mean, like, yeah, whatever. Thanks for bringing it up, though, Daniel. I appreciate it, brother. Yeah. Close to Navyport. Okay, down there. Yeah, I was very young when I went. Yeah, so down like near, what's that, Norfolk? My pastor son-in-law is an officer down there. And he's something to do with subs. I don't know. They can't even tell you what he does. He's like super high secret, whatnot. By Norfolk, Virginia. Yeah, I think that's quite a ways from here, but it is a nice area. Yeah. Say my brother. Yeah. Yeah. My stepson is in the Marines, and he's in Quantico, Virginia right now. He's graduating Friday. He's going to be an embassy guard. And so my wife is going down there tomorrow and for his graduation for a couple of days. Grossman, oh man, now you're going back, Ken. I worked at Big Y. They were next door. Now you're really going back. I used to put snakes under people's gas cap covers. Oh man, if I ever, my neighbors tell me, oh, I had to get behind the siding and they crawl up and get into the attic. I'm thinking like, oh man, like I can't even think. If I ever saw a snake in my attic, I'd have to burn the house down, start all over. That's one good thing about Connecticut, like because of the winters, right? Like when I was young, this thing keeps falling. When I was young, I used to love the winter. And as I get older, I like it less and less. But for a person who hates snakes, yeah, winter's the way to go. Because, it just shortens, the period that they're out. And then they don't seem to, be as prevalent as they are down south. Because down here, they're out 10 months a year or whatever. So, they're everywhere. But something I gotta try to get over. I forgot you'd rename the channel and wonder where you went. Yeah, I don't know if you're talking to me. I never renamed the channel. I was thinking about it at one point, but you're probably talking to somebody else. I wasn't worried about snakes when I was staying in Chattanooga. It was a brown recluse. Yeah, Daniel just made a video of brown recluse. I didn't even get a chance to see it yet, but I saw the title. I got very limited internet. I don't have any internet here, actually, but I got a tethering on my cell phone. And so it gives me a little bit, but I got to be careful how much I use because it sucks all the data up. And I wanted to make sure I was going to have enough for this feed. I have unlimited data, but what happens is you get so much at a high speed, then it kicks back. And when it kicks back, I can't do the live feed. So if I make it through the live feed, then whatever I have left over, I'm going to go back and watch some of these videos. Yeah. Well, I did talk about renaming the channel. And I had, so World Without Rule, all right. So a lot of people are probably familiar with that series I do about the survival group after the EMP. And so when I started the channel, it was just that. So the name kind of fit, right? But I kind of expanded it because I write short stories and poetry, and so I put some of that in there. And I started doing those unscripted moments. It's just like an opinion section kind of. And now the Homestead series being down here, I'm going to try to do whatever I do down here. So as I was doing all that, I kind of expanded beyond the World Without Rule thing. I thought, really, the name kind of limits the scope of the channel, but or not that it limits it, but it doesn't justify, doesn't justly portray what the channel is. But I went back and forth with it. I decided probably for now at least not to, just because I don't really know why, but I just didn't seem like the right move to make. I didn't want to lose anybody, and I wasn't sure how that all worked, So I ended up not changing it, but let's see if I can pronounce your name right. Shashakila. But I did. I was talking about it, so that's probably what you're thinking. I have to go back and listen to the stories I missed. I love them. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you enjoy them. Got me on the face. Oof. That can't be good. Daniel, what's the Keflex for? What's reasonable withdrawal? Huh. Yes. Spiders don't skeeve me out as much as snakes do, but I'm not crazy about spiders either. So, let's see. I had a few points I wanted to go over, and I think I did most of them. Yeah, the camera. Oof. This stinking camera. I don't know. I dropped it, and it just I heard it smash. I mean, if you look at it, there's nothing wrong with it. But actually, here it is. Right, but the shutter is open now. See, this is supposed to retract and close, but it doesn't. And then you try to turn it on. And the light comes on for a second, and it makes the noise. That's when the shutter would open, but it doesn't open. I mean, you can't see nothing out of the screen. And then it goes right off. So, I don't know, it's toast. what are you going to do? You know? It's me. I'm like a bull in a china shop with this stuff anyway. I shouldn't even have a camera. How's the Kubota? Pretty good. I haven't even used it. I've been working inside. I haven't even touched it. I was going to mow, but I was saying before, my neighbor kind of took over mowing for me, which is good. And so I haven't even pulled it out. I think tomorrow we're going to take the loader off of it. In Texas, whenever I check my truck in the morning before getting back on the interstate, I used to double check for snakes under the hood. Oh, man. I got to move this over. I'm cutting a little bit of it off. Under the hood. Oh, man. That's crazy. Burke can fix it. Yeah, probably. At least he thinks he can. Looks like you're still building. So where are you bunking? I'm sleeping right here, right in the downtown Beirut. I'm sleeping right on the floor. I got a little clean area. I got a tarp with gym mats and a little foam rubber cushion. And during the day, I fold it up. I throw a tarp over it so no dust and stuff gets on it. And at night, I just unfold it. And Griffin, another one. All right. Thanks, Griffin. You're the man. I appreciate it, brother. My first 2 super chats ever. Griffin Benchmark. All right. Got to run. Great live session. God bless. Thanks, Griffin. God bless you too, brother. Have a good night. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. No wonder you're paranoid cruise. Yeah, because the place is wide open. I seen a salamander crawling under the siding the other day. I could see holes and everything everywhere. It was, I haven't seen anything, but yeah, I'm a little worried about it, a little paranoid about it, and I'm sleeping on the floor too. So what are you going to do? All the rooms are torn apart. It's either that or get a hotel, and the town is, almost a half an hour away. So I don't know. I have a Tahoe. I was going to sleep in the back last time I actually did one night. But I don't really fit. If I had a Suburban, I could fit, but I don't. I have the Tahoe, which is a little shorter. I fit kitty corner, but I got to sleep curled up a little. I can't stretch out, so it's just not comfortable enough. But that actually is better because it gets me off the ground and that whole thing. But it's just, yeah, it is what it is. What are you going to do? It is no worse than camping, When you're camping outside, you're exposed to all this stuff, right? Yeah, just gotta. Take care, Griffin. Good night, brother. God bless you. You have a shower. Yeah, I didn't gut the bathroom yet, so I have full bathroom facilities. Some of the walls are gutted. The doors are ripped out. I have to tie it shut with a wire because there's all windows on the other side there. But I do. I have a toilet, I have a sink, and I have a shower. So, I'm kind of living normally in that respect, which is nice. That's another thing, the timing of it. I want to gut that, but then I can't. I can't be without it, so I got to wait. I got to figure all that out somehow, too. But as it progresses, there's so much to do here, and I'm not going to be able to do it all. I'm just going to do as much as I can, and then when we get closer to the point when we want to come down here, we'll just have to hire a contractor, I guess. Hit it with bug bombs. Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. But you got to be out of here, right? You can't breed those things. So when I leave, I can hit them. That's actually not a bad idea. Maybe you can find a cheap camper. Yeah, I thought about it, but any of the campers that I could afford, they're kind of skeevy and musty smelling too, right? If I could have a nice one, I wouldn't mind having a nice camper, but there's that's money that could go into the renovation too. So. Would Richie shower there? Probably not. I couldn't see Richie. Ken's asking, would Richie? We got a coworker, Richie. He's a great guy. I love him. Dear brother in the Lord, too. He's really the guy who would give you the shirt off his back. But he's a germaphobe, and he's like a pretty boy kind of. And, he can't. His hair's got to be just right. And he can't. It could be 12 degrees out. He can't wear a hat because it'll mess up his hair. It's kind of funny. Ken's saying, would Richie shower there? I don't think he would. He might, but he would have to have special shoes so he didn't have to touch the, floor in any way because there's dust on the floor, and he doesn't like that on him. So, he got lots of guts rebuilding a homestead. I'm 61 years old and just can't do it. You know what? Shush. How do I say it? Am I saying that right? Shashkakila. I think that's right. You know what though? I'm 54. I'm having trouble doing it. And my wife helped me, so I can't say I. We did it together, but I did it. I was here a couple weeks. She was here 6 days, whatever. But we gutted the whole entire place. And that was a lot of work. But that's the kind of thing, like, it doesn't take any skill really. So, because I'm not a carpenter or anything, I'm an electrician by trade. But we're trying to get as much as we can done ourselves just to keep the cost down. Because look at just what it's going to cost to do the kitchen and the bath. So I'm going to try to scan around and show you a little here, but I don't know how. So there's the kitchen, right? And then over here, that door, there's a new door leading up on the left of the fireplace. That's going in the other room, the dining room. And that door, right on both sides of the fireplace, is going to be 2 sliders. That's facing east. That's where the gardens are. And then I'll try to spin you around. There's the kitchen, right? That wall that's green that isn't gutted, that's the back of the bathroom. And this is all going to be one room. There's the front door facing east. Now I got a problem with the cord here. But there's the French door there. There's my bed. I just unfolded it. But that's getting replaced with a new French door because that one only has one side open and it's kind of old. I want to have both sides open for maximum airflow. So that's about it. So it's all pretty much right behind me. I don't know if you can see, like, that white casement right there that's the bedroom. The bathroom's over there, and then there's another bedroom. So it's just 2 small bedrooms. And then the kitchen, where I'm sitting, is the dining room, and that area where the fireplace is the living room. That's all going to be open, one room. So it'll be nice, I think, when it's done. But mention a couple of things here. Ken, I'm cracking up. Yeah, I know. Moving the laptop around because I'm knuckling. I miss staying in the old cabin. My friends and I stayed in growing up. Nothing sobers you up like a pack of coyotes. Yeah, I hear it one night. I woke up. I heard them out here. Oh, I don't know. They were screaming, crying. It sounds like they were right off the property line. There's a fence. They had to be close. The neighbor down the road has 2 pit bulls. And they come around sometimes. I have the French door with the screen. I'll be sitting there. All of a sudden, I got them barking. Like, they kind of drive me nuts a little bit. In a way, it's nice because they lay out. Like, one day I look out there, it was before it got dark, and there's this like a blacktop area right outside the door, and they were just laying there like slabbed out in the sun, and then they perk their heads up to hear something off in the underbrush, and they take off, and they come back, 20 minutes later, like, order is restored. So, like, when you're alone and stuff, and you got all this going on down here, there's the neighbor across the street, the guy that helps me mow, and the guy with the pit bulls. I can barely even see his house. It's down the road a little. But those are really my only neighbors. So I kind of like having the pit bulls around because it feels like security. But then on the other hand, I feel like they could turn on me at any moment because they don't know me and whatever. But I hate to have to shoot one. But, if it came to that, I might have to miss staying. Yeah, the cabin. Yeah, my wife and I had a cabin in Vermont. It was 2 hours north of where we live in Connecticut. And we used to go up there and hang out, and man, we had great times. I used to have a 4-wheeler. It was an acre only, but it was surrounded on 3 sides by 333-acre state forest. You had 110 inches of snow a year, and we used to go up there for the weekend, just start a fire and hang out. We had some great times up there. But when we bought this place, I sold it because once we come down here, it's 11 hours from here. 11 and a half hours from here. So there was no electricity or nothing. There was just just go there and camp on the weekends. And we had a blast. But the money I got from that, 2/3 of it anyway, I bought a tractor with. So just trying to do it all, move all my, I guess I'm putting all my eggs in one basket right down here. It doesn't make sense, but it seems like the right thing to do. Shasha. Yes, you're saying it right. Shasha. Shashakila. Okay, cool. Thanks. Number 2 with AR-15. Number 2 with AR-15. I'm not sure what that means, Daniel. Although I know what an AR-15 is. Of course, we're not allowed to have them in Connecticut because, People's Republic of Connecticut, you can't have any real guns. You got your work cut out for you, buddy. Yeah, I sure do. But I know I'm not going to be able to do it all. I'm going to do as much as I can, and we're going to have to hire a contractor in the end to put a lot of it back together. Like I said, when Ray comes down, he's going to do the doors and help me with the beams, and, we'll go from there, one step at a time. It's like, reminds me of Daniel's video. It's like, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. That's exactly how I feel here. That's how we do it. One little move at a time. Daniel God is my judge. He's got a good channel too. And I think it's just because I related to him because he started watching my series and subscribed to my channel. Then I checked out his channel. I'm listening to, I wish I wrote it down, took notes because I don't want to misquote it. But a lot of the video, he was talking one about public school and how, their liberals are taking over and this and that, and they're indoctrinating, and I'm thinking man, and so political, socially, it seems like we're just there's a symbiosis there because we're in complete agreement. I don't know if it's complete agreement. We haven't, not like we've talked for hours and hours, but what I see on his channel, I agree with everything he says. And so I kind of it just struck like a common bond. So we've become friends, and he's got a great channel. I'm actually going to start a podcast or a weekly recording, and I'm going to have him. We talked a little bit about it, but we're gonna try to get together and do a collaboration on that and talk about there's a bunch of stuff like the apostate churches and and socially where we're going as a nation, economically, the whole 9 yards, right? Oof. So it's some pretty scary stuff, and it could be volumes of stuff. There's so much there. If you plan to have chicken or livestock, you'll have to do something about the coyotes. Yeah, I think I definitely want to have rabbits, and I know you can shoot them if they're a nuisance. Of course, you got to be able to catch them, right? And I think I'm pretty sure they only come out at night, but yeah, they will devastate the herds. I'm not going to have a lot of animals. I do want to have some chickens, maybe some rabbits, maybe a goat or two. I'm not really sure. I'm going to ease into that. I got to start. Like I said, I started the string of blackberries. I want to get that going because it takes a while, and I've been trying to locate a place for chips, wood chips, to do the Back to Eden garden. And I've talked to the power company. They had an ad on Craigslist, and I've talked to a couple local tree guys. It's just tough to get them, and I want to get those on there and start letting them go, because it'll take a couple of years for them to rot down. But I'm going to start with that, with gardening, the blackberries. I got tons of peach trees and a few pear trees, and they've been neglected over the years, and they're older, and some of them might not bear, but I'm looking out there. I got peaches on a lot of them already, so I think with some trimming and some different stuff. So that's going to be my first focus after the house is done. When we get down here, that's going to be the first focus, is doing the garden, getting the blackberries going, pruning the apple trees, the pear trees. I got a cherry tree. I got 20 peach trees. And some of those will have to be taken down because they are older, and there's a few that aren't bearing any fruit. And maybe they can just be trimmed. Maybe they can just be pruned, and then maybe they will yield. I don't know. Oh, excuse me. But the pollen is brutal down here too. So I'll have to see, because if I get down here and I prune them, then if they come back, maybe I can bring them back to where they will yield. If not, I know there's got to be a lifespan. Try to learn about that stuff, and I don't know much about it, but I know there's got to be a lifespan on the trees, right? So they might just be past their lifespan because a few of them look like they've been around here. So, do you need a pistol permit? Yeah, you do. You do need a pistol permit. But a friend of mine from church has a good friend of his is a pastor of a church up in a little bit north in Virginia, and he said it's easy. You just they're not reciprocal, but you don't have to take any tests or anything. I just take my Connecticut permit down there, and they process the paperwork and issue me a new one. So it's pretty easy to get a permit. Virginia is a shall issue state. Shall issue, yeah, right. Like what it's still like that means they can't deny you. Is that how? If am I reading that correctly? Shall issue. You look like hat, goatee glasses. Yeah, but you're much better looking in much better shape than I am, Daniel. And I appreciate you saying that. It makes me feel good. You think we look alike, but you know, I don't, you know, you don't want to look like me. That's for sure. But yeah, more states need to take suit, like Maine and the rest of us. Constitution. Yeah, you're right. Constitutional carry. That's the way. That's the way it is. You know, that's the way it should be everywhere, right? That's my own belief. It should be. You know, the Constitution is your permit, and it should be good in every state, and it should be the same. It's just like it was like in the day, you know. But unfortunately, it's not that way. Vermont, Vermont is like an oxymoron in itself because, like, Vermont is this huge liberal state, right? They got all these like liberals and environmentalists and like, you know, everything that is anti-conservative is Vermont. And then on the other hand, you don't need a permit. You can open carry, no permit at all, and they have like some of the most relaxed gun laws in the country. But the rest of everything else in Vermont is like super ultra libtard. So I don't know. Connecticut's open carry. Yeah, Connecticut's open carry. Yeah. Bless you. Thank you. I couldn't live in a state that prohibits me from owning a certain type of firearm. Yeah, well, don't move to Connecticut, brother. I'm gonna tell you, David. Do not move to Connecticut. You know, 10-round magazines only. You can't have the three like, you know, okay, pistol grip, external mag, and adjustable stock. Like you can't have three of them. So if you have a rifle, like I have a, you know, like you can have like a Ruger Mini 14. It's got the external mag, but it doesn't have the pistol grip. So that's okay. You know, you can like an AR-15 external mag, adjustable stock, pistol grip, illegal. I have a Smith & Wesson M&P. It's like a 22 version of the AR-15, and they got an adjustable stock. They got to pin it. They can't sell them in Connecticut because somehow if you can adjust the stock to where it's comfortable, that makes the gun more dangerous because they got to drill it and put a pin in it. How ridiculous is that? I mean, it's a stock. It's like, you know, it doesn't make any sense. And none of the laws in Connecticut make any sense. Hey, Rocky Brook Farmstead. Ken, all right. I saw your 30 random facts video today, Ken. Good job, buddy. And thanks for mentioning my channel. I appreciate it. Ken's a great guy. Ken and his wife and his young son, they just moved out to the Ozarks and onto a piece of land off grid, and I give them a lot of credit. You know, it looks like a really, really nice area. You know, and so it's got to be a lot of work living off grid, I can imagine. You know, and now I know, Ken, you were saying that you had some. I saw in your video that you might have some electrical issues, or you said you mentioned that I was an electrician. You want to pick my brain, so just to let you know, brother, I'm here to help you anytime I can. And my email is worldwithoutruleoflaw, all one word, @gmail.com. And if you want to email me, I'll shoot you my cell phone number, and then we can talk. Or if you want to email me the questions or whatever, if you need any input or questions or help with anything electrical related or anything that I can help you with, I'd be more than happy to do that, brother. And I think it's great what you and your family are doing out there. I think, you know, that's like the true like American like the American spirit, right? Like the American pioneer spirit. You know, they picked up, loaded all their stuff in a van, moved out to Missouri, and they plugged for the company. And I don't have anything to do with them, but that Homestead Crossing, because I watched that awesome Homestead, and they kind of laid out like how they got into the property through that company. It seems like an easy company to deal with, and what a good opportunity, you know. And I think like that's the pioneer spirit, you know, just go out there and, you know, forge a homestead. And I wish you a lot of luck, brother. You know, I think it's great. I think it's great what you guys are doing. I enjoy watching your videos. I enjoy the area, seeing the area, and watching the homestead grow. So kudos to you, brother. Keep up the good work. I know it can't be easy living off grid. I own an SKS, and because it can be modified to have all those things, it would be prohibited. Yeah, like so, like you know, 1994 or something, they came out with that assault rifle ban. So in Connecticut, if you have a pre-94 pre-ban, they call them, they're legal. So you could actually get an AR-15 with all three of those things. And like, even though it's prohibited if you get the 2016 model, but you buy the 1993 model, as long as it was sold in Connecticut before 94, then it's pre-ban. So it doesn't make any sense either, because if you could have an old one, why can't you have a new one? And of course, you know, you got to pay $2,200 for the thing. So because once they pre-banned them, you know, the values went through the roof. I got to shut this light off. I just couldn't type with it without it. But it's crazy, you know, really, really crazy. But I was saying like the 22 version, you know, I think I finished that thought. I was telling you about how, like, you know, they got to pin the stocks, you know, like how, well, why can't the stock, how is the stock being adjustable, how does that make the gun any more dangerous? Why is that on a band? Like, why is that banned? That makes no sense whatsoever. I need your help for sure. Yeah, I'm here for you, brother. Shoot me an email, and I'll give you my cell phone number, or, you know, however you want to do it. You got any questions? I think you were saying the power pole was in your front yard, right? So that's good. That's definitely a good thing. It should be pretty clear cut. I know, like in Connecticut, it's like the first 150 feet the power company does. So if that pole's less, and you know, of course, Missouri could be different, but if that property was in Connecticut, then if that pole is less than 150 feet from your house, then you just wire out to it and they drop it for you. But if it gets longer than that, then they need sub poles, and then that becomes the owner's expense. But yeah, shoot me what your issues are, and I'll help you through them for sure. What do they have for power? Rocky Brook Farmstead, they don't have any power. They're off grid. Yeah, Ken. Rocky Brook Farmstead's name is Ken too. Ken, my friend Ken Thomas from work. And Ken from Rocky Brook Farm. So they got a good channel, Ken. Check it out, Rocky Brook Farmstead. The guy and his wife, and they got a young son, and they're forging a homestead out in the Ozarks. And Ken Thomas does Teddy's Gun Shop. He does his videos, and he's got a pretty decent channel too. A couple newer channels. I'm gonna put a rocket on my AR. You can still buy model rockets, and how cool would that be? That would be cool. A friend of mine, he's a missionary, or his parents are missionary. So his dad is a pastor of Baptist church way up north in Vermont, and his mom is a missionary to Ukraine, and they both are really. But since he took that church, he's been doing less. He's like staying up there more, you know, he's tending to the church, so he hasn't been going out into the field as much. But she goes over there and works in orphanages in the Ukraine. They adopted a couple Down syndrome kids from the Ukraine, the twins. And so when David, their son, was going on mission trips, he just got married, but he was involved in that mission for a while, and he auctioned off a potato cannon he made out of PVC, and you put a gas grill lighter in it. The thing's like 10 feet long, and you shoot like Axe hairspray in the back of it, and you light it. Let me tell you something. This thing should be illegal. And I don't know, maybe they are. But like, he auctioned it off to raise money for the Ukraine, for the orphanage in Ukraine. But this thing, I can't even judge the distance. It had to be 700 feet easy. So like, the tighter the potato is, the further it goes. But it creates this explosion in the chamber, and the concussion pushes the potato out. This thing went further than my eye could see. Landed in, they're way up northern Vermont, and like, there's just fields everywhere. This thing, he showed me a video of a guy that built one. They shot it about 30 feet away from a car. The potato went right through the fender of the car and made a hole right through it. It's totally insane. It was awesome. Yeah, you know what? Ken from Teddy's Gun Shop. That's got your name all over it, brother. Ken from Teddy's Gun Shop, he's like a backyard engineer kind of. He made a tumbler. He does reloading. And he made a tumbler out of an old treadmill. He cut it down, took the belt off to clean the brass. I still want to see a video on that. I think people would be interested in that. That is so wild. But making a potato cannon, that's got your name all over it, brother. Look for it in videos on YouTube. You can see them. They're pretty simple to make, right? We could shoot it off at work in the summertime. Ozark's getting real crowded. Seems like a lot of people are going out there. And for good reason. There's less building law, like less building construction codes and laws, and like, it's like the way America should be, right? In my opinion. It's no wonder more people are going out there. I mean, if I was younger, I'd be going out there too, probably. We have the best neighbors that really help a lot. That's awesome. Yeah, before you came in, I was telling the guys about my neighbor across the street. The guy's 78 years old, and he's a Marine Corps veteran. He owned a Honda dealer his whole life, and he's amazing. This guy, the amount of work he could perform. And he's been mowing for me and helping me in the yard because I'm stuck in here, and like, it's hard for me because I want to do, I want to do a garden. I want to work outside. I got all this stuff to do. I want to prune all the peach trees and all this, and I go out and I look, and it's absolutely beautiful out there. But I can't take any time to do that. I got so much to do in here. I've only got so many vacation days a year, and I'm spending them all here, that I just have to, I have to kind of put that there. And so he's been kind of, he likes to keep busy anyway, and he's been doing it, and so he's a great guy, my neighbor. And so I hear what you're saying, Ken. You have good neighbors, man. That's important. That means a lot when you got good neighbors. It really does. We got decent neighbors where I'm in Connecticut, but I've lived a lot of places up there, and we're in a decent neighborhood now, and the neighbors are pretty good. But I've been in places where, like, you live there 6, 7, 8 years, you don't even know the neighbors. They don't even talk to you. Some of them won't even wave to you when they see you coming in their car, Oh, it's completely different down here. Boom. Potato guns, hillbilly riot gun. Yeah. Potato guns. It's awesome. God bless you all. Teddy is signing off. All right, Teddy. Thanks for coming in, brother. God bless you too. Have a good night. Tell the guys at work I said hi, and I'll be back on Monday, God willing, as long as I don't somehow not make it back or follow my internal instinct to never come back and just stay here and live in this bombed out building for the rest of my life, which would make me completely happy, but I'll be back on Monday. Good night, Ken. Thanks for coming in, brother. Used to make them when we were younger. Yeah, it's pretty wild. It totally blows me away the first time you fired it, how far it shot that stick of potato. I would never thought it was possible. Like, I'm saying 600, 700 feet. I'm just guessing. I mean, so I know, like, distance between two telephone poles is 150 feet, right? It was at least 4. I mean, I couldn't even see. It was so far I couldn't even, like, I just saw it going up and I lost sight of it, at whatever. I'm saying 700 feet. After that, who knows how far it went? It's crazy. Ronaldo Rivera, I just bought a house almost 1 year in it, and I can't stand my neighbors. Yeah. And that's like, it's luck of the draw too, right? Because when you're buying, like, you don't really know, like, you don't know what you're getting for neighbors. You can go either way, and you can't figure that out really before you buy the house. How do you, unless like if you're in a rent to own situation, you can live there for a while. But in most cases, I don't think you have the ability to figure that out beforehand, right? That's tough, man. I've been in that situation. I have a friend who lives in Missouri, and she says lots of troublemakers coming in. I hope not. Yeah, I don't know. There's troublemakers everywhere. Like Ken was saying, he's got good neighbors, and if you get a few good neighbors and you stick together, and hopefully that'll do it. That'll build a buffer between anybody who wants to cause trouble, right? Shashakila, gotta go too. I'm so glad you're up and running. We'll try to catch up with your vids. Thanks, appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and thanks for coming in. And I hope you enjoy the series that I'm doing. And I'm trying to do more down. I was gonna do a whole bunch down here, but I smashed my camera, so camera's down. So my cell phone, I could do. It's got to be like less than a minute, or I can't email it. I have no other way to transfer the data. Like for some reason, I have a cord, but I can't transfer. The computer doesn't recognize the camera. The only way I can transfer the videos is to email, and if they're longer than a minute, it won't do it. So I have the cell phone if I want to do 1 minute videos, but it's kind of useless. So, but I'm gonna hopefully get another camera next time I come down and take some vids of my progress here. Well, probably what I'll do this time is just take a whole bunch of pictures and just put it in a slideshow. But yeah, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it, Shasha. The other half of the neighbors don't talk or acknowledge. Yeah. Which, in the long run, that's probably better than some of the ones that do, right? Like, I've had neighbors that talk to me, they drove me nuts, and then, they cause trouble and, try to tell you what to do, and, they're opinionated, and then you got the ones who, they just totally ignore you. Like, really, if you think about it, that's probably the better scenario. And then you got the perfect neighbors who they wave and smile when you see them, and they don't drive you nuts when you're out in your yard. They exchange pleasantries for a few minutes, and that's okay when you're in the city. But like Rocky Brook, like he's out there, it's a little different in that scenario. You're living off grid. You got to kind of rely on each other to help each other. You don't want to just exchange pleasantries with them at the fence. You want to, break bread together. You want to have somebody who can help you when you're cutting trees down. You can help them when they're cutting trees down, right? Or help work together. Like that's why I say it's like the way America should be. It's like the pioneer spirit. That's the way it was in the old days, right? People helped each other. People cared for each other. That's how it should be. But the world gets too fast and too much going on. Everybody's got their own agenda and going in their own direction, and it just seems to be the way. Sasha, if you can put up with 400 feet of snow, you can move to Marion, Maine, where it's quiet. Yeah, Maine is beautiful. It really is. I'm at Fort Bliss, El Paso. Wow, El Paso. So now I don't know Texas very well, but El Paso is south, right? Is that like far south? We're building a safe space for the two families. Yeah, good idea. That's nice. So they're like, are they bordering your property, Ken? So your properties like abut each other? Well, that's a great idea, And like Maine is a beautiful state. It really is. Far East, okay. My friend Ray, who was supposed to come help me with the beams, I don't think you were in when I was talking about him, but they are in Pittsburgh, Texas right now. And then, he's going to hopefully be getting better to travel. Again, I'm asking for prayers for him because he's down and out. He's not out, he's down. But he's off his feet. And, he's a missionary. So, like, he does building projects in churches all over. So he's not, like, on a payroll anywhere. And when he can't work, it's really hard, on the border of New Mexico. Oh, okay, New Mexico, Mexico. Wow, El Paso. Yeah, so it's got to be hot down there, huh? Ronaldo, pretty hot, I would say, down there. Like, is it hot all the time down there, or do you get? I don't think you really get winter, right? Do you? No, we can watch both roads in or out. Oh, okay. So that's cool. That's good. So they're just a few minutes away. I think you said in one of your videos they're 5 minutes away or something. If I remember correctly. So that's all good. That's good. Pretty hot year round. Yeah, I figured. So I was, now talking to somebody in Texas, I almost feel like a wimp complaining about the snakes up here, right? Because Texas, I gotta imagine you got some pretty raucous snake activity down there. Like, oof, I can't even imagine. But yeah, I don't do well with snakes. That's one thing nice about the northern areas where you get the cold climates. The snakes go into hiding a lot. You don't see it. They're only out a couple months a year, so it doesn't seem like there's 8 gazillion of them around. I can ride a motorcycle all year round. That's good. That's nice. Having a garden is nearly impossible. Is that because of the soil conditions, or is it sandy, or? Hi, honey. Yes, I'm still up. Oh, honey, you're up at 11:13. That's like the middle of the night for you. My beautiful, wonderful wife. How could you still be up? Thought I could play my game on my phone since I don't have school. Oh, you don't have school tomorrow. That's right. It's going on 3-4 hours now. You're hooked. She's hooked on the video game. Well, it's better than being hooked on heroin, I guess. Not that I guess. I know it is. But yeah, 11. Honey, when's the last time you saw 11:14? That's crazy. My wife is the Proverbs 31 woman. If you read the Bible and you read Proverbs chapter 31, that's my wife, and she's up, like it says, up when it's still dark, working. And she gets up at 4:30 a.m. and she goes, and then she goes to bed at 7 o'clock at night, or sometimes even earlier. So for her to be up at 11:15, wow. So yeah, so I went live at 10. Wow, it's 11:14. So I've been live for an hour and 15 minutes. Can't even believe it. Everything is big in Texas. Yeah. No snake for me. You don't like snakes either, Ken. You got to have some snakes out there in the Ozarks, right? Like, pretty sure you got rattlers and all kinds of stuff out there. Huh. Nothing but sand. Yeah, that's tough. So you're probably familiar with that Back to Eden garden, right? They say it can condition the soil. But I know, like, Danny from Deep South Homestead tried it. He's in Mississippi, I think. And he said that because of the humidity, it like molded and it wasn't good. So, but in Texas, I don't think probably don't have a lot of humidity, right? Am I wrong about that? It's desertish. I'm thinking it's dry, right? Dry heat. That Back to Eden gardening might work. Look into that. If you've never heard of it, check it out. On YouTube, just search Back to Eden gardening, and there'll be tons and tons. Paul Gauchi, this guy, I think he's in Oregon. He's the one that first kind of came out with it, and it works pretty well and can condition a lot of adverse soil conditions. Yeah, wood chips. Yeah, you just lay a thick layer of wood chips over everything. And I wish you were here too, honey. I do. Donald Boker. Just want to say hi. Hi, Donald. How are you? Good to see you. Good to have you in. Okay, nighty-night. All right, honey. Good night. Have a good night's sleep. I love you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Wood chips would help. Yeah, there's a snake. Yeah, there's a snake. I bet you there's a snake. Yeah, the wood chips, that might work for you, Ronaldo. You got to put down like a thick layer, and then it takes a while, right? Like at least a year or two. And as they deteriorate, the soil, and it's good because it encourages like worms and all kinds of like the microbial growth in the soil, and It does take some time. Like you can't put the wood chips down now and expect to grow in it in a month, but it'll transform the soil for sure. Check it out if you get a chance. Sequim. Okay, Sequim, Washington. It is Washington. You're right. Right. I always thought it was Oregon. But you're right. It is Washington. I didn't know the name of the town though. Sequim. Oh yeah, and you're from that area, right, Ken? I don't know if it's that exact area, but I know you're from Washington, right? Were you guys in Oregon or Washington? I always get Oregon and Washington confused. I know they're close, but I think you were in Washington too, if I remember correctly. County has free mulch going to try using layers of that. Yeah, free mulch. That's awesome. I was saying I'm trying to do that here, and I'm having trouble finding chips. Like the power company had an ad on Craigslist, like you can call and get on a list, which I did, and I updated it a couple times, but I'm like kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so like they got to be in the area working. They won't travel too far, I don't think. So many people want it now, want them that, unless they're like right in the neighborhood, they won't. I haven't had, and I tried calling a couple tree companies. I haven't had much luck. I haven't had any luck getting chips, but that's awesome that they could do that. I know the county, like, I was watching a couple videos and people said their county did stuff like that. That's cool. We can do that. Let's see. Videos. Oh, thanks, Don. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. I had I try not to get hung up on it, and I don't want people to take it the wrong way, like why I'm bringing it up. But like, I started a Patreon account, but I don't have a lot of success with it. But I'm thinking of moving the whole series over there, just because like YouTube. Already, like day 162, I put out Saturday night. They demonetized it. So that series, I cannot keep it monetized. It's like that and the backstories, anything to do with that EMP series, YouTube shuts it down for monetization. And then I'll put in the request to get it reviewed, and like it takes forever. I don't know what it is. It's disheartening. Like, there's not a lot of money in it anyway, and it's not necessarily all for the money. I do enjoy doing it, but it's a lot of time. The point of it now is like I just want to say to heck with YouTube, But then again, I have a lot of very cool people that seem to like the series, and so I don't really want to pull it away because of that, because I don't want people to have to come over and pay. I just as soon make the money off AdSense and let the viewers watch it for free, but I don't want to go down that whole road. I talked about that before. It's just crazy, but yes, he lives close to us. Yeah, I thought you were in the general area, lived, yeah. From where you guys came from, right, Washington? I'm not sure I didn't know how close, but I knew it was the general area. I checked the sump where people take tree, yeah. So probably dump, right? Take the tree branches and brush. The landfill here allows people to haul out boards and other lumber, but they won't let people like me to haul out scrap metal for me to repurpose. Huh. Right, like why not? It's in the dump. It's the landfill. You should be able to take whatever you want out of it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. The less stuff in the landfill, the better off, right? Like, why would they prohibit anybody from taking anything out of the landfill? That makes no sense. Just because they can't figure out how to make money on it, I guess. I don't know. I love the EMP series and the live show. Thanks, Ronaldo. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm still learning my way around the live stuff. Like, I got to get more organized, and I try to read the comments, and, you go in different directions, but I've never had more than, I've got 7 viewers now. That's probably the most I've ever had, but this is only the 3rd one I've ever done. This one I scheduled, so I didn't know if anybody got a reminder or a notification, like prior to when I came on about it, but, I'm not sure if I was setting it right. It said set reminder, and I hit the thing. It said set reminder, but it didn't say when it goes out or anything. So I don't know if it just comes out like right when the video comes up, or some channels you see they do like it comes up in their feed, and it'll say like 9 hours from now or 7 hours from now or whatever. And maybe it did do that. I'm a small channel, so it just probably didn't have a lot of interest. And I'm happy for 7 people anyway. It's not about how many people come in, but yeah, thanks, Ronaldo. I appreciate that. I seem to have a few people that enjoy this series. If you were to do it again, story, how would you do it? If I was to do it again, like, you mean like rewrite it or how I market it? I'm not sure what you mean, Daniel. I think the structure of the story I wouldn't change too much. I'm starting to I'm starting to try to go in different directions, like more character development, more plot development, like the Carl Fairley character. Now we're seeing like a little more depth to his character, a little more involved. And the same thing with Major Stillman, right? We're seeing like he's involved with the outlaw group there, and there's a whole possibility of things that could happen there. But to some degree, see, this is where I get in trouble, because I think that's why they demonetize it, because subject matter there is, I don't think it's controversial, but it is, I guess. I mean, I used to do it in front of a slideshow, right? And I would love to I've got thousands of images that I search for that fit what's going on in the story. I can't even think about putting those images on there. They demonetize it so quick. You have a guy like with a gun or, any kind of violence, or like a guy throwing a Molotov cocktail and burning out these buildings. Like, it all fits with certain parts of the story. In the slideshow, I would love to do that. But then, so like when I talk about Patreon, I don't want to say it's not about the money, right? Because it kind of is about the money. Because, like, yeah, I spend hours and hours and hours writing and producing this story. I would like to get paid for it, and I don't have to apologize for that. It's a job like any other. If I went down and worked at a convenience store part-time, I would expect to get paid there, right? So if I'm going to, work at the deli 4 hours a day or, 10 hours a week, I would expect to get paid. So if I'm going to sit at my computer and write this story and put it out there, is it wrong for me to want to get paid? Like, I don't think so. I think that's just free enterprise. Put that part of it aside, because I'm doing it now and I'm not getting paid. I'm making 18 cents a day or whatever. So whatever, but to a certain degree, the product itself could be better on Patreon, because I can develop these characters into this taboo area that you can't do. And so I can do it, but it'll just be demonetized and struck out. Like, so I guess if I gave up that hope of ever getting paid, I could put whatever I wanted on there. As long as I didn't do any copyright strikes, I'd probably be okay, right? Because most of my problems are the material's not advertiser friendly. So it's not that there's no sexual, nothing wrong with it. There's no like illicit sex or like, bad language or anything like that. Most of my problems are all just that I can't monetize it. So like I want to do certain images, that fit the story. Whereas like on Patreon, I could do that. So I haven't moved it. So my instinct is just get out of YouTube and move the whole thing to Patreon. But then my problem with that is I have a lot of people that follow it on YouTube and that seem to enjoy it. And I don't want to just pull it away. Really, the only really reason to do it would be in an effort to try to get paid for it. And at the same time, I think I could make the product better, because I could use different images. I could develop the characters in further directions. But, so in the Patreon, it's $1 a month or whatever. How many people do you leave behind to try to, then you feel like you're making it really just about the money. So it's a balance. Like, I believe it could be about money, and it should be about money. I believe I should be able to get paid. On the other hand, I don't want to pull it just for that one reason alone. And so that's why I haven't. So it's still on YouTube, and I'm just putting all this time and not getting paid, but that's all right. But like you look at Patreon, if you think about it, if people enjoy it, well, would they not pay $1 a month? I mean, there's generally 4 of those episodes a month, so that's a quarter an episode. So you listen to that, 15, 16, 18-minute episode. It probably took me 4 to 6 hours to make that. That's not worth a quarter, And so maybe that's part of my fear too. If I move it and nobody comes over, then I feel like that's worthless. It really is. And at that point, it would be worthless, because if nobody's going to pay a quarter to watch an episode, $1 a month, then it's only like anything. It's only worth what people will pay. So if people won't pay $1 a month, then it's not worth $1 a month. And so there's that like fear of failure there. And then the other side of it is the people that don't come over, I'm leaving, I feel like I'm kind of ditching them. And they've been loyal subscribers and people that enjoy it. And I don't, so I have trouble. I don't really want to do that. So I'm torn, and I don't know really what direction to go in, but it's as they give me a harder and harder time, the deeper the story goes, the more the Carl Fairley character starts to go into that, covert black ops type thing. It just seems like it's just quicker to demonetize it. Sometimes a video would go 2 weeks, and then they would demonetize it, and I'd put the review, and a day later it'd come back. Now it's like, well, that one demonetized today, and I posted it Saturday night, right? So 2 days, whatever, 3 days. And it could take a week before they allow it. So they're taking their time reviewing them too. So I just feel like, what's the sense, I enjoy all the videos, the series, and your Homestead videos here. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Donald. I appreciate it. I enjoy making the Homestead videos too. Unfortunately, like I was saying before, I broke my camera, so there's not going to be a lot of videos this trip. But I'm going to probably, like I said, I'm going to take some photos and just put them in a slideshow. They make money. Oh, they do. Oh, the town makes the money off the scrap metal, so they'll actually, that kind of makes sense, I guess. Yeah. Daniel got as my judge. Market. How would I market it differently? That's a good question. I don't know, Daniel. I don't see, for me, and I did a video about this, right? What are my choices for marketing it? Put it on YouTube and make 18 cents a day. So it's a lot of time and effort to put in. But that's kind of my only option. Patreon, but I've had a Patreon account for a little over a month, and I've only got 2 patrons. My wife's one of them. So, I basically have had no success with Patreon. So is that a viable marketing? I don't know. Maybe there's just no value there for the material, right? Now, if you look at, you look at like the Wrangler Stars of the world or the Pastor Joe Foxes, they've got, and they're in different categories, because Wrangler Stars got, almost 1 million subscribers. Pastor Joe Fox, I think when he made the movie, he had 65 or something thousand subscribers. So you got 60, let's just say 65,000 subscribers. If 10% of them, well, if 1% of them follow you to Patreon, that's 650 subscribers. So there you go. You're making $650 a month. If you got 1,000 subscribers and 1% of them follow you to Patreon, that's 10, right? Third grade math. I don't know how you're going to calculate it. No, it's 1. No, it's 10. So I don't know. I think for a channel my size, Patreon isn't really a viable option. Maybe some point if I grow the channel it would be. So your question, Daniel, how would I market it differently? I don't know, because if I did know, I'd probably do it right now. I'm trying to get the whole thing in order. See, like, one thing that makes the YouTube part of it or the Patreon part of it easy is that I could write in my own, horrible grammar, atrocious spelling, when I want to pause, I just put 12 commas, whatever. So when I read it, I know what it's supposed to be, and I read it that way. And so that comes across in the audio. It comes across okay. if I want to market it as a book, like a manuscript, I can't have that. It's got to be grammatically correct. Like the commas got to be in the right place, and that's difficult for me. But because I'm just not an academic, you know what I mean? So like I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to reorder it. I'm trying to arrange it. I'm trying to get it ready to try to sell it as maybe a book. And I don't even know. I don't think like it's hard because it's art, right? So it's like when you put it out there and nobody wants it and you realize it's not worth anything, that's hurtful, you know? And so even though I can't make any money at YouTube, the people that watch it seem to enjoy it. So I believe it has value, but no monetary value. So that's difficult to, you should get paid. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I made a video about it too. It's worth what you make. Like if you go on and 1 million people watch it and you make $1,000 a month, then it's worth $1,000 a month. If you go on and 8 people watch it and you make 3 cents a month, then it's worth 3 cents a month. So currently, the value of my videos, the value of my series is like 18 cents a day. So that's what, when I say like I want to get paid, I'm not going to make any mistake about that. I don't think I should have to apologize for that. This is a free market country. We all want to get paid for our efforts, right? You think John Grisham writes novels, he doesn't get paid? Stephen King, you know, of course I can't compare myself with them. They're professional writers. But then again, I don't need to make a fraction of what they make. Like, it's all relative, right? So yeah, I do want to get paid. But, you know, I'm not only doing it to get paid, because if I was, I would have stopped already. Because when you're making 18 cents a day and you continue to do it week after week, then it's clear that you're not just doing it for the money. Because I can collect cans on the side of the road and make more than that. So, you know, so there's that duality there. Like, yes, you want to get paid, but if that was my only concern, then I would be out of it long ago, because clearly I'm not getting paid. So, and you know, and I think a lot of it too with YouTube, especially, it's upfront, right? You do the work now, maybe it'll pay off someday down the road. I don't know if that's true or not. The characters Carl and Roger are my favorites. Thanks. Yeah, you know what? I think they're my favorites too. It was Roger for a while. Well, actually, Craig in the beginning. Craig was my favorite character, and that was before Roger or Carl were kind of even on the scene, right? And Carl came on, and then he kind of became my favorite, and Roger too. Roger, I think, is going to be leaving now because, so this is like a little bit of a sneak peek, right? And I haven't fully developed it, but because of the MC chasing him down and him not wanting to bring the fight to the group, and, you know, I think Roger's going to leave. But I'm not going to give away too much, but I'm thinking a way to keep him in the story, have him leave, but keeping him in the story at the same time, if that makes sense. So I think they would follow. I'm not sure what you mean, but you think who would follow, Ken? But so the character, so on the Patreon page, I have 3, you know, you have different levels. So I have 3, like the $1 a month level, which that allows you to see just about everything I have on there, right? And then at $3 a month, it's a different level. Like at $3 a month, I'm inviting people to like help develop the plot and the characters, have some input. And of course, this is all theoretical because I only have one $3 member, and that's my wife. So, but let's just say that Patreon thing grew, and let's say I had 4 people at the $3 level. Those 4 people, and if I had 400 people at the $3 level, I mean, that's unfathomable to me, but let's just say that happened. Those people would be like a panel, kind of like, you know, I would seek their input as to, like, I would like to have somebody to run some of this stuff by. Hey, this is what I'm thinking about for Roger. You know, I want to do this. I want him to leave, but I want him to stay in the story, and here's how I want to do it. Tell me what you think, and get people's feedback, and invite people to come up with ideas, like, because many people have creative ideas. So like people that read the story, they have an idea of, hey, what if so-and-so did this, you know? And so And who knows if anybody would want to get involved at that level. That's just in my mind. So like it hasn't happened yet. So there's no value to it yet. Someday it might. And if it does, it does, you know. So we'll see. This is one of the very few channels. If you move to Patreon, I would do it. Huh. Well, thank you, Ronaldo. That's awesome. I appreciate that. And you know, so what I did do, and I only have one entry, I'm doing what I'm calling like character expansions. I forgot exactly how I worded it, but like I gave a little insight into Carl Fairley's character. So I touch base a little in the story about it appears, and it's unfolding now, that he's a member of some covert like black ops group, right? So I don't want to give away too much, and I have some ideas that I haven't fully decided. So it's like it's a living thing because it grows in my mind every week. And so what I envisioned for him originally has changed a little bit. But so what I'm currently doing now is like, and again, because I don't have any patrons, I haven't put time into it. But if let's just say I had a handful of people, then they would be exposed to insights on the characters. That's at the $1 level. So that's not inviting them to put in input, but it's showing them like sneak peeks and saying like, okay, like the first week I introduced the fact that Carl went into the radio room and radioed the guy in Virginia, right? And he was part of this bigger group, this covert group. So in the expanded version in Patreon, I kind of go into what that is and what it means and how it's structured. And so that's where it becomes a living thing, because that could change, but I try to give a little insight. And there's other characters I thought about, like, you know, so you look at a 14-minute series installation on YouTube, there could be another 10 minutes or 14 minutes or however many minutes going into, like, picture it like layers of an onion. Like YouTube is layer one, like Patreon could be, each character could have different, more complex layers. They could be explained in that. And so that could happen. If people come over, then I'll do that more, you know. Like, it doesn't make sense to really do it a lot now because there's nobody over there reading it. So I put one out there just to see, but like, and my wife liked it, you know. And I have one other patron, but she's a lady at church, and she likes she doesn't even listen to the EMP series. She doesn't listen to YouTube. She goes on there because she likes the poetry, and because I do like my short stories. She likes the short stories, and so the short stories didn't get a lot of hits on YouTube, but people that I know that read it really liked them. And a lot of people that I know, like, they don't even know what YouTube is or how to use it. So, or not that they don't know how, but they haven't done it. So, and that's why she does. I know that's why this lady from church goes and does the Patreon, because she likes the short stories. And so, excuse me. So she's actually, you know, and the short stories come slower. They don't come every week, right? Because it takes a lot to write a short story. And I've probably got, I don't know, 5 or 6 or whatever in there. And they've been stuff that I've been working on for months and years. So like, they're a little more in depth, but they don't come every week like the series. So it's a little different. Can you do the one on YouTube and then do it on Patreon with the pictures? Yes, I could. I could do it anyway. I could change it any way I want on Patreon. And so, like, again, that's one of those things, like, if I ever get patrons, then I'll delve into how I'm going to do. Like, it takes so much time to do it on YouTube, and it would take maybe not exactly the same amount of time because the story's already written. But as I said, like, doing the different layers. So, like, if it takes me 4 hours, 6 hours to produce a 14-minute segment on YouTube, and I'm going to do, you know, like, looking at Carl Fairley, this is what I show you on YouTube, this is what I show you on Patreon, right? Then that's going to be at least another 4 hours. So I don't do that now just because there's nobody there, like consuming it. But that's how I envision it. So it would become a lot more work to a certain degree. But as it grows, right? Like as there's a few Patreons, like there'll be some, I'll grow it as the count grows. So it'll steer itself, I guess, kind of. If I finish writing the story that is in the work, I'm going to have others do the reading, and any funds that may come in will go to the youth group. That's awesome. That's a good idea. That's great. Yeah, I'm going to, if we do that Christian conservative podcast, like we talked about, I know we just mentioned it briefly before I came down. We haven't gotten any depth about it, but I want to also interview some missionaries and stuff like that. I'm not going to monetize any of that stuff just because. So like the podcast maybe, but like when I interview the missionaries, I'm not gonna, just because I don't want them to be associated with certain ads, like, because you can't control what the ads are, right? So I wouldn't want to like interview my friend Ray, the church builder missionary, and have an ad for, some stupid ridiculous thing come out in the front of his video. So those I probably wouldn't monetize at all. That's just kind of like to glorify God, to honor God with that, and let people see what he's doing and expose him to his mission and stuff like that. So I probably wouldn't monetize that. But what you're talking about, the story and monetizing it and donating that to the youth group, that's awesome. I commend you for that. I gotta go, guys. Night. Thanks for the support. Yeah, no problem, Ken. Thank you, brother. And again, get in touch with those electrical questions. I'd be glad to help you out, man, whatever you need, all right? Good seeing you in here. Have a good night. I'll talk to you soon, brother. Mayday Me 2000. If you remember correctly, it used to be different in the beginning, and that seemed to work for a little while. But as the monetization dropped off, it seemed like they started to look for more reasons to demonetize. So, like, I use the different title, like Attack and all this other stuff, and like SHTF and all that, and like they were demonetizing. I took that out and I trimmed the title down. It got better for a little while. But then when all the ad revenue thing happened and dropped off, then it seemed like then they just started attacking it even more. And like I had pictures, like you can't show a thumbnail like somebody holding a gun. It seemed like that's like an instant flag, and so that diminishes the quality of the content, I think, a little, because first of all, what's wrong with somebody holding a gun? This is America, but like whatever. So they don't like that. And so I stopped doing. That's why now I don't do the slideshows. Now I just put the banner, like my channel banner or something, just because it's more benign. It just seems to work better, But I'm still learning and growing too. But I think I think you're right to a certain degree. Like you use an EMP in the title. Like how whitewashed can I make the title though? Like I want people to know what it is. And I have whitewashed it down a little, but I still have the word, the designation EMP in there. So is that anti-government? Is that why they're doing it? I mean, I don't know. I sound awful. What do you mean, Daniel? You sound awful. I don't understand. Can you post a link to your Patreon in the description box of one of your vids? Yeah, you know what? I'll do it in this vid after the feed ends. It goes to video. I'll do it. I'll do it there, Ronaldo. Thanks, brother. It'd be interesting to have you check it out. Bizza Rizza Jizza in the house. I made one live. All right. We have a YouTube superstar amongst us, gentlemen. You know what? Bizza Rizza Jizza is the one that inspired me to do that EMP series, because he was doing that for a while too. And I loved his series. And that made me start to think like, I could probably try to do something like that. And I know it's different, like mine's from a little different perspective or whatever, but I think that's what allowed me to believe that he inspired me, like that I got inspired. I didn't steal it from him. You know what I mean? But maybe I did. I don't know. Like, I've been accused of that. People have told me, you stole this from Bizza Rizza Jizza. One guy came in and said, like, you stole this material from Bizza Rizza Jizza. And I was like, well, I guess you're half right. I stole the idea from him, so I have to live up to that. The material is the content. Like, I wrote that on my own. I didn't steal the material. But yeah, I stole the idea, I guess. But it's like anything. I mean, I think, and maybe I'm just justifying it in my mind, but I think like, well, I didn't steal it. He just inspired me. It's like, how do you, so like the first person that ever made a mafia movie was the originator, and everybody that ever made one after that stole the idea from him? Or did it just inspire him to do it, right? Or maybe I'm just using that because it makes me feel better, like I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know, maybe I did. But anyway, Bizza Rizza Jizza in the house, and he was the original as far as I know. So that's awesome. Glad you made it, brother. No, not money from you. No, not money from you. I'm not sure what you mean there, Daniel. No, not money from you. Voice. I finally got hit last week with demonetizations. Oh man, we were just talking about that, Bizza. Like, they're brutal. I can't. In the beginning when I was doing this, I was making $4-6 a day, and then like I could have anything in the title. They didn't I think I went 3 months. I've only been doing this 6-7 months, right? The first 3 months, I was making $5-6 a day. They didn't demonetize anything, no matter what I did. And now I'm making 18 cents a day. They demonetize everything. Well, okay, so like here I am in my Virginia Homestead location. I'm working down here this week. Like, so they don't demonetize those. Those I don't have a problem with. Like, I can come on and show you what I'm doing here, planting the blackberries, gutting the house, doing this. Never a demonetization problem. That EMP series, I cannot put anything up. It used to take 5 days, 6 days, a week. Now, like 2-3 days, big, they demonetize it. And now, and you ask for a review, it takes them a week to come back, and then they say, oh, then they allow it. Sometimes, not always, but before I would ask for a review within a day usually. Sorry, I know the light is terrible. I got one light in the whole house working. I hooked it up. It's just a piece of Romex coming off of the truss. I shoved an electrical cord in it just so I could have light for the video. But I know it's glaring on me. I can't get away from it. Like I should have hung a shade over or something. But yeah, the demonetization, I don't know. We were talking about Patreon and stuff like that, and that whole, thing about getting paid and people, I don't know. Like I'm just because I know you just popped in, I don't want to go through the whole thing again, but like there's nothing wrong with wanting to get paid. I maintain that. I don't think I have to apologize for wanting to get paid. I spend a lot of time writing, producing the story. So if I spend 6 hours a week, 4 hours a week, if I went down and worked part-time somewhere, I would expect to get paid. Just because I sit at home and do it at my computer, I don't deserve to get paid for it. I love the premise of YouTube of being able to produce it and get paid and not have the people that are enjoying it, consuming it, pay for it. That's the best thing. If people like it, they can watch it for free and let the advertisers pay, right? I've only been doing this since the beginning of November. That's how it was in the beginning. That was 6 months ago. And that wasn't a lot of money. But I had, 300 subscribers. I was making $5 a day. And now I got 1,000. I'm making 18 cents a day. I got tons of views and like way more videos. I got 100 and something videos. Back then I had 7 videos. How I don't understand. I know like something happened with the ad revenue and all that, but that structure was awesome because you come in, you do the work, and you make the money, and the people that enjoy it don't have to pay a dime. Let the advertisers pay. That was a perfect world. What happened? Now it's like I I don't know. It's all good. We're buddies. Thanks, Biz. I feel the same way. I appreciate it. I know, and I right from the beginning, you know I mentioned it to you in the beginning, and you never had any problem with it. I really appreciate that because I know you could have been pissed about it. The fact that I kind of stole your idea, although, like I said, I like to say, you know, it was inspired, but I always appreciated that. There's a business group goes to war with without rule of law. Yeah. Well, maybe not. Maybe we join forces and fight the common enemy. That's another way we can go, right? I had an idea for a story, but sounds like YouTube would demonetize anything that thinks outside the box. Yeah, it seems to be like it's getting that way, you know. But like, then you got these knuckleheads like the guy that shows his kids opening presents all day long, and he's a millionaire. Like, so, you know. But if you sit down, you write a story, but because it's somehow anti-government, you can't make any money. But if you just put a video on your kids and feed them presents all day and let them open it, you can make $1 million. Like, that's just a statement of where we're going in the world anyway. So I don't understand what, you know, how it all works. 3 to 4 hours to write an episode. Yeah. That's about, you know, right. That's about what I'm doing. I mean, some of them are longer than that. But I think that's probably a good average, 3 to 4 hours for an episode. And that's I try to do them, you know, I try not to do them less than 12 minutes, and I try not to go over 16, although sometimes they do go a couple minutes over. But I try to keep it in there, and like, yeah, it's time consuming. You got to sit down and you got to think of it, and you got to write it, then you got to edit it, then you got to put it over a video or a slideshow, upload it, you know. I mean, to a certain degree, it might be easier than a lot of the YouTube things because you don't have a lot of editing and stuff like that, but you just put the slideshows in or whatever. And businesses are a little different. I think he runs the video. Like, it's a, you know, he'll set up a scene, so like then just run it. But yeah, it takes time. This stuff doesn't just, you know, come bubbling up out of the ground. I was thinking of writing a martial law or WWRoL series and start my YouTube channel that way on top of do-it-yourself camping videos. That's cool. I think the diversity is good, having the do-it-yourself and the camping videos in there too, because that'll allow you to make a little bit of money, because I don't think that's the type of thing where they won't monetize it. And then you can, the other stuff, like if you enjoy it, then that sounds like a good idea. Martial law series. I mean, I think, you know, it's a good premise for a channel, and I think you should do it. I encourage you to do it. I would subscribe to it. I would go on and watch it and subscribe to it. I'd love to. Do it, David. Yeah, I have another buddy who just started his Finger Lakes Prepper. I have to check that out. I heard the name, and I don't think I've ever saw him. But yeah, you know, I encourage anybody to create that stuff. You know, if you enjoy that, do it. You know, because I think there is an audience for it. I think there are people, you know, just judging by, you know, what little success I've had, and you know, look at the people that watch business, and like, so there is an audience for it for sure, and I think it's great. You know, thanks, brother. Just subscribed. Cool. Maybe because people learn about prepping and defense. Yeah. I think it's just the genre itself, the post-apocalyptic whatnot, I think is hot now too, you know, last few years. And so Ronaldo, you asked for I'm gonna try to, you know, I'm a noob when it comes to technology too, so hopefully I can figure out how to put the link in there in this video when it comes out in the video. But it's just World Without Rule of Law, all one word, at Patreon. So if you did want to look at it, that's what it. But I will try to do the link. When I started mine, I had our subscribers down 4,000. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, mine grew pretty quick in the beginning. Like, Bizza, how long has that taken to go from 100 to 4,000? Just curious. And I've started I think I put episode 1 up like October 29th or something. So November, December, January, February, March, April. So I'm just starting my 7th month. Enter that you taking the yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't have cable, so I don't see much Hollywood, but July 2016. Okay, so probably double the amount of time. Like I said, I'm in my 7th month. I started in November, so July, August, September, October, 5 more, almost double. Yeah, so that's phenomenal growth, I think. I mean, when I'm in that amount of time, I don't think I'm going to have that many. And I know everybody's share grows. It's not like a contest, but the point is, I think that for that amount of time to have 4,000 subscribers, I think that that's outstanding growth. I think that that's great, and that series is awesome, and I know and people enjoy it. So that just shows you there's a market for it. It shows us there's a market for it, and I like things that, so like I work second shift at a school, right, and do maintenance. And I like, and this is when I started watching business, this is how I devoured it. Like I would listen to it, I'd be like, oh man, I can't wait for next week's. Like I listen to it while I'm working because I can just put my Bluetooth in my ear. It's not something that you really have to watch. You can just listen to it, right? And there's several channels. Like there's an interesting one called Moth channel. People come on and they tell stories. It's like tell my story, whatever. And it's just their life experiences. And I would encourage anybody who likes that, like if you're like driving and you just want something to listen to, or if you like to listen to something at work, that's an awesome channel. Some of the stories are stupid and not good, but then you can go on to the other ones. I actually found one. There's this guy, Damien Eccles, and it's pronounced Eccles, but it's spelled ECHOLS. This guy was falsely accused of capital murder, was on death row for 18 years, and he was innocent. And DNA proved he was innocent, and the state still would not reverse the case. And so he tells his story in like a 10-minute segment. It's awesome. This guy's, I don't like getting off on a side tangent here, but if anybody wants to listen to a good story, Google or go to that Moth and search for Damien Eccles, ECHOLS, and listen to this guy's story. It will blow you away. It's completely, and he ended up getting married when he was on death row. He met his wife in 93. They married in 96. He didn't get out of prison until 2011. And he was 36 when he got out of prison. So he was in prison for 18 years. And when he got out at 36, he'd been in prison half his life. He was an 18-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid when he got arrested. And they took this mentally handicapped kid and they tortured him in interrogation for so many hours until he basically would say whatever they wanted. And they got him to implicate this guy, Damien Eccles, and this other guy, and the police barged in and arrested him. They knew all along he was innocent. It was a high-profile case. They had to get somebody. And they just fabricated this whole thing. And then years later, when DNA came out, it proved they weren't even at the scene. They still wouldn't reopen the case. It's totally amazing. And according to him, like he says, well, it'd be one thing if this is a freak thing. This happens every day. Like there's people, it's a tangent. I just want to mention it, but if anybody's interested in a good story, that's a good one. Bizza has a great voice. Yes, he does have a great voice, and he makes the story great. Yeah, Bizza does have a good voice for that. He got a voice for radio. Prepper Logic and Canadian Prepper help me with the shout outs. Yeah, shout outs can help quite a bit. I think definitely. Actually, Bizza, you did a shout out not too long ago. Mentioned, it was just a subtle mention. I don't even remember how it came up. Mentioned my channel, and you were on somewhere. I don't even remember the specifics of it, but overnight I picked up 30 subscribers. That was like the most growth I ever had in that kind of spurt, and it happened right after that. So I know. I have to attribute it to that, right? So the shout outs, definitely. I think, what better way to support each other than to do that? I try to do it. I only have 1,000 subscribers, but even like, you mention it and people can go and they watch and they subscribe to these other little channels that are just starting, I think it's great. What do you think? What do you think World Without Rule futuristic story? Futuristic, yeah. Nice thing about futuristic, it's wide open, right? The parameters are broad because, like, who knows really what the future holds. So, like, you don't have to be constrained to any kind of, like, historic accuracy, I guess, if that's the right way to put it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're dealing about a futuristic story, it can be whatever you imagine it to be. The setting, and there could be things like flying cars and like whatever you can come up with in your imagination, and nobody could say, oh, that's not real, because of course it's not real, it's the future. So yeah, futuristic story, I think there's a whole untapped thing there, like creativity wise. It could almost be the Paul Harvey of his generation. Yes he could. Yeah, and the story. I mean, so I know a while back, Bizza, you'd mentioned that you thought you had a good way to end it, and now I was traveling this week, so I don't know if you put one out this weekend. I didn't. There's a whole bunch of videos stacked up in my feed that I didn't even get to look at. So if you did, I apologize, but I didn't see one from you. And when the last week that you did, it was a pretty big cliffhanger, right? Like they were doing the countdown. And then they got to one, and that was the end. So you had said previously, like, oh, I think I found a good way to end it. I'm hoping that wasn't it. I'm hoping that wasn't the end. Because, like, that had me on the edge of my seat, right? So we'll have to see. But, like, yeah, I don't know. That's how I found you. Okay, cool. Maybe you won't get flagged. Maybe not. You didn't put one out this week. All right. And that wasn't the end, right, Bizza? Tell me that wasn't the end, please. Been working too much. Yeah, I hear you there. General Karlev meets the Jedi. Yeah, the Jedis, I think that's been done to death, but yeah, that's funny. This channel started it all for me. This is where I found Bizza and several other channels and been searching YouTube for more ever since. Yeah, good. So there is a market, there is an audience there, like I've been saying, and that just shows it. I think that's awesome. No, not the end yet. All right, that's good. That's good. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a sad day when it ends, and so like, yeah. But you keep it going, brother. Keep it going. I'm glad it's yeah. And I figured you weren't going to end it like that, but then I was like, oh man, wouldn't that be like. Like TV shows, right? Like you had some TV shows I liked back in the day. And some of them you get complete satisfaction with the way it ends. And other ones they end and you're like, what? What the heck was that? I can't think of any like offhand, but I remember like MASH, when MASH, like of course, I'm 54, right? So like depending on how old everybody is, some people might not even know MASH. But when MASH ended, they completely answered everything and ended everything. Like it was just, then there's other shows, they just end and you're like, that was the end? Like how that didn't even resolve anything. It's crazy how they do that. I don't even know how they figure that all out. But honestly, I feel a sense of relief when it's over. I know exactly what you mean, because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time. And it feeds on itself. And, like, I feel that too, Bizza, because I've thought to myself, man, if I could just wrap this whole thing up, my life would get a lot easier. But then, like, if I want to grow my channel and, like, so I do poetry and short stories. No one listens to those. So, like, this is where kind of like where and I won't say success because I've only got 1,000 subscribers, but that's a certain amount of success. But it came from that series. So I think if I end that, like, I'm kind of cutting my own throat in a way too, right? But I know about the relief. Like one of my favorite sitcoms of all time was Seinfeld, right? So like they must have been like that, because here they're making $1 million an episode, and then they ended it. So how do you end a sitcom when you're making $1 million an episode? If you're doing 13 episodes a season, you're making $13 million each character, right? It's like Jerry Seinfeld, and you know, I don't know. How do they do that? How do they like end it and cut that 13? But then on the other hand, you know, you got to give them credit for doing it, right? Because they could have just kept running it into the ground, and like after a while, the quality is going to diminish. So like, is that what happens to our stories if we just keep writing them? You know, do we just keep writing them just because people like it and you want to keep it going? And then after you run out of ideas, then you feel the quality start to diminish. Now, I'm not trying to blow my own horn, but I don't think I've gotten to that point. I think the quality of mine maybe even ramping up a little. I don't know. That's just I don't want to be like, Toto, yeah, look at me. But like, just to say that if I ever get to that point where I feel that I'm just doing it to do it, and I don't think that the story has, you know, it's not going anywhere, or it's not getting better, or it's actually getting worse, then I think I would have to make a decision to pull the trigger at that point and end it. And I believe that would be tough to do. But yet, I think maybe at some point it's going to need to be done, right? I guess it's just you want to go out on a high note, kind of, you know. So, like, if you do that and you wait for that, you're not going out on a high note. So, like, I compare it to Seinfeld. I think that's what they did. They went out on a high note. And so there's something to be commended there. There's a lot to be said for that, I think, because it can't be easy to do that either. I'm glad you're not going to let the Ruskies win. Yeah, I know. I don't think you are you, Bizza? I think you're too much of a patriot for that. I don't see you letting the Ruskies take over or win. I always worry about putting out a dud. Yeah, I know that feeling too. I don't remember you ever having any, though. I don't remember you putting out any duds. I put out some that I thought to myself, that wasn't that great, you know? And I know, I worry about that too. But we equate it, the creativity is like a living organism, right? So like, I think it's normal to get that. Like, they can't all be great, right? Like, it's like real life. Like, sometimes you have awesome, exciting moments. Sometimes you know, sit on your porch in a rainstorm and just hang out. You know what I mean? So like, it can't always be great. There has to just be mediocre. Otherwise, is it even realistic? You know, I think that's part of it. I think having episodes that are just mediocre are just. But then if you have too many of them, then you lose interest, and people lose interest, right? So it's a balance. Excuse me, that's a balance too, I guess. You know. I feel both EMP series have a long ways to go before they would hit the point of shooting itself in the foot. Yeah, I think so. I didn't. For a while, I thought like I was winding it down. Like I said to myself like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, like, where am I going? You know, where am I going with this? And then I started to get some more ideas. And so going back to that, you know, living organism thing, that's how it happens. You know, the creativity comes, or you come up with ideas. And I read a lot and listen to a lot of stories, and like, you know, you get your, well, okay, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I watch Viking Preparedness, right? And so, like, he talks about a lot of different things, but he talked about in a, maybe not a post-apocalyptic, but in a post, like a martial law situation, or in a world without rule of law, or a Tiwaki situation, or whatever, there would be a way to communicate through correspondence, not necessarily comms and radios, but like he talked about the trading post or the general store, where there would be a bulletin board and you would put notes, or, you know, people could communicate that way. You would come in, or if you want to sell chickens or eggs, you'd put it on there and people would come. And so it clicked in me, right? And so then in my story, I have that trading post, and they have that, you know, so that is an idea that I got from him. So again, did I steal that idea from him, or did that inspire me to write it into my story? That's how I like to look at it. And I really honestly think that's the more. Honestly, I have the brutal ability to be honest with myself. If I thought I was stealing it, I would just come out and say I stole it. But I think that saying it inspired me to write it into my story, I think is really a more accurate description of what it is, because the idea of putting a note on a bulletin board in a general store didn't come from Pastor Joe Fox. It wasn't, he's not the first one that ever thought of that. They actually did that in the old days. And so he knew and related and saw a new way to use it and put it in a video, and I listened to it and gleaned some information off it, and it moves and steers and grows and turns into something different. It gets written into my story, right? So it was an inspiration thing. I honestly believe that. So that's just one little thing, like one way that, there's been other things. I can't think of any offhand, but certain things from Business Story, have struck something in me that made me like think of something or grow in a different direction. And, oh, that's interesting. Like you'll say like something you'll hear in one of the stories and you say, oh, that's interesting. How did they do that? Like, and then you find yourself like weaving something along that idea into your own story. And it kind of just, it grows and takes on its own life, I believe. Both of yours have always left me wanting for the next to be published. Yes, some more exciting than others, but both your series are awesome. And that's definitely true of Business, because I think every single one he's ever done has left me waiting, to the point where I'd watch it and like, look how many minutes there. And I'm like, oh no, there's only 3 minutes left. Like, I can't believe it's almost over. Like, I've actually thought that and been at that point. Like, so I think I can't remember one episode he's ever done that has not left me waiting for the next one. And some more intensely than others. But I think every single one has that's been true. UPI can always do your story like separate books. Yeah, books. Like I said, books is tough because then you got to know grammar and you got to know spelling. You got to have, an 8th grade education. So I do the cliffhangers. You do the cliffhangers. I have to try to work on that more. Mine kind of just like they go where they go and they end till next week. But yeah, you're awesome at the cliffhangers, Bizza. You definitely are. It seems like, it's to the point where like you can see it coming almost. Like you could, whenever and I know generally how long they are. They're always a little different, but they're pretty much follow kind of a timeline, as far as the length of the video. So we'll get to that point where, it's been 9, 12, 13 minutes, whatever. And then the tension and the drama will start escalating, and I say, okay, we're far enough into the video. He's leading us up this thing, like the cliffhanger's coming, it's coming, and you don't know what it's going to be, but it's coming. It's like, so yeah, Bizza, you're the master of the cliffhanger. There's no doubt about that. Bizza Timo, have a transit character first in Bizza, then goes to WWRoL. Huh. Yeah, it's interesting to think about some kind of crossover. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I'll just say that. I mean, I don't know how it would work. And I think when we talk about how much work it is to write the series, if we ever had to because we obviously would have to collaborate on that, I think it would become a lot more work at that point. Just because there would have to be communication between the two of us. We would both have to be on the same page as how it was going and where does it go. And so it's an awesome idea and I wouldn't be against doing it, but I also realized it would mean a lot more work for us too. But I caught both years in Business EMP series late in the game and was going to watch them. When I got near the newer ones, it left me wanting more. Awesome. In creative writing, a mistake is not a mistake if you did it on purpose. LOL. That's a good point. Do you handwrite yours or type? I type. I can't handwrite. My handwrite, I guess I'm a product. Bizza, and I know that you're in a technology job. I actually worked for the cable company for years decades ago. But I know that you're a technology guy, right? And I'm not a technology guy. So I think it's interesting that you handwrite yours and I type mine because it's like exact opposites of who we are. But I can't write. Like I'm almost to the point where I get a cramp in my arm if I try to write that. And then I wouldn't be able to read it probably because like I'm like, I'd have to write it in crayon like a kindergartner because that's just not what it looks like. But I type it mainly because I change it, right? I'll start to type and then I'll go down. I'll say, that's not going to work. And I'll go back and I'll restructure it and I'll change. So to handwrite it is just too much for me. Like I like to be able to delete and take sections out and move sections around because and I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I have a certain way that I like to articulate things. And so that process, like it's a process. I can't if you write yours, like that's awesome. If you could just write it out and like that's amazing. That's an amazing skill to me because like I wouldn't be able to do that because the page would be filled with scribbles, like crossed out stuff and this arrow jumping to move it over to here. And so I have to type. I have to use the computer. And then what I do is when I narrate it, I have an audio. I use Audacity. So I'll open that and I click to record and then I click back on the Word document. It comes to the top and I just read it. And then because I stumble too, right? So like when I stumble, I just pause and I let it go. And then I pick it up or I go back to before where I stumbled. And in the end, I listen to it and I have to edit the audio and go and dissect those stumble pieces and pull them out. And that's where a lot of my time comes in editing the audio. So like with yours, Biz, now I know you do the video, right? Like you train the camera, like you'll have the gun or the candles or the radios or whatever on the table. You'll like set a scene and then video record it. I think that's a lot harder too because I did that in the beginning, but when you make a mistake, so if you got, an 18-minute thing, like me, this is how I did. If I had an 18-minute thing or a 16-minute thing, I made a mistake 14 minutes in, I'm done. I got to start all over again, right? Whereas with the audio thing, I can correct it easier. So I think it becomes easier at some point. But I give you a lot of credit for doing it that way. I think that's got to be a lot harder. I like the pen and paper feel. Yeah, I think a lot of writers do, right? I think that's true for a lot of writers. You get spell check. Yeah, you do. But spelling, right? You get the spell check. So what I need more than that is something to tell me where to put the commas and stuff. But again, for just reading it and doing it on YouTube, it doesn't have to be grammatically correct. It just has to sound right when you read it. So like if I want a long pause, I'll write 9 commas in there. So when I'm reading it, that reminds me like, okay, you want to pause a few seconds here. But now if you're turning it in as a manuscript, you can't have that, right? So spell check and grammar to a certain degree isn't really an issue for what we're doing here, but down the road, if I ever wanted to like market it to a book or something, I would have to correct all that. I'm actually in the process of trying to do that to mine. I'm trying to get it ready to be a manuscript, but like it's a lot of work. It really is. Have you ever used the program? No, is that an audio program? Mayday? I've never heard of it. I'll check it out. You don't know how many times I've been 6 pages in reading it screw up. Yeah. I've been there, man. I've done that. I mean, like my first, I don't know how many, but like in the beginning, I did the same thing. I did that same thing, and it was brutal, or like the phone would ring. Right, like if you're reading in the phone, I forget to shut the ringer off. The phone ring, like now with the Audacity, I can just let it run and edit it out later. It's so much easier. It's not super easy, but it's easier, I believe. Cliffhangers are great to keep people coming back, unless you're Bobby Ewing in Dallas. LOL. Yeah, Biz is the master of cliffhangers. There's no doubt he's got that figured out. There's also grammar check. Yeah, I guess, right? I don't even know how to use it. I'm a noob. Like, I'm surprised I can do anything. When I was a kid, Batman was the only one who had a computer. Dragon couldn't understand my Southern English. No, you just speak and it types. Really? Usually you have to spend 30 minutes so it understands your accent. You speak and it types. Oh, that's worth looking into. Is it free? Is Dragon free? I'm going to have to look at that. That's interesting. So I can't even believe it, but I've been on for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Not that it matters. I got nowhere to go. I'm stuck here in downtown Beirut working on this. You know, it's a kind of a labor of love because I can't wait to get this house done, and I got vision for it. But it's a lot of stinking work, and it's 9.5 hours, 650 miles away from home. So I can't come down every weekend, and it's tough. Dragon is sold at Walmart. Okay. Dragon was expensive when I bought it. All right. I figure something like that wouldn't be free. That makes sense. But it sounds like a pretty good program. I use Audacity. It's free, and I like it. I'm doing one because I was telling the guys I had a missionary, a friend of mine from church. He's a missionary. He's a church builder. He goes around the country, and he works on church projects. And he's in between projects. He was going to come help me. Remove where you see the perpendicular lattices on the trusses there. That's going to be the ceiling, and then from this one here forward, this way, it's going to be all open. So I'm putting beams up, collar ties, and so he was going to help me do that. And I got 4 doors. I got 2 sliders, a French door, and a pass door. He was going to help me do that. I was going to spend 2 weeks, but he threw his back out pretty badly. And he can't travel and he can't work. He's in a tough spot. And so I still had to come for 1 week because the doors were coming. They were on order and they were custom. A couple of them were custom. They weren't in stock, so it wasn't like I could just cancel them. And I had to come down and get those. So I ended up switching gears. I'm doing the rough wiring this week. And I'm going to do little stuff outside, plant a few blackberry bushes and stuff. But my main goal is to do the rough electrical wiring. And then I'm going to bank the second week. And then if he gets better in the near future, whatever, and can do this, I'll come down and spend a week with him doing that. So this trip is only going to be 1 week. Is that a snake on the wall behind you? Don't say that. If I see a snake, I got to burn this place down. My neighbor was telling me, the snakes get in under the side and you find them in the attic. I'm thinking like, really? I literally would have to burn the house down if I saw a snake in there. I can't live in a house that has snakes in it. I just can't. Just kidding. I'm not going to be able to sleep now tonight. $75? Wow. Okay, so I wonder if, like, a lot of things when they first come out, like, it may have actually come down, right? Unless they improved it, it'll be more expensive. Yeah, on Amazon, it's between $40 and $80. Wow. That seems like a pretty good theme, though. Like, so it puts the punctuation and stuff in, too. How do you do what you're doing when I do the demolition of the house trailer? My parents are probably there giving me. Wow. Except I'm going to camp out in the tent. Yeah, I have the bathroom. I didn't gut the bathroom yet, so I have the shower and the sink and the toilet. So that makes it one level above camping. And I got a roof too on my head, right? Because like yesterday we had over an inch of rain in 1 hour. It was pouring. So I'm kind of glad I wasn't in a tent. And I like to take a shower every day when I'm done working. So my friend Ray, they travel around the country. Him and his wife, they live in a fifth-wheel camper. And it's a pretty nice setup, but they have all the amenities. And so that would be a nice option, but it's expensive too. I toyed with the idea of getting a camper, but they're just expensive. Mothballs help get rid of snakes. Really? Well, that's worth looking into that, because that's definitely what I got to do. David, black mold kills my cousin's wife. Don't mess with it. Yeah, mold. Well, I had a little in the basement, so we had a problem at the school I work with, a 50-50 bleach water solution. You just spray the walls down with it, it'll kill most molds. Of course, if you got to get the origin of it too, right? Because if it's just bleeding through the walls from somewhere else, it'll still keep coming back. But yeah, black mold's pretty nasty stuff. I got respirators too where I'll turn it down. So yeah, that's definitely a good idea. So you said somebody gave it to you. I think you mentioned that in one of the other live feeds, right? Does it have some land with it too? I remember correctly. And tell me again where it was too. Was it up north? I get stories confused from everybody. Like I'm probably getting all the details wrong, but it sounded like a pretty good deal when you were telling us last time. I'm certified in multiple. Huh. Yeah, what do you do for it, right? You got to just tear it out. I mean, if you can't, like we had some at the school, but it was a fairly new building and it was like a steel building. It had that blanket insulation and it had it all on it. We just sprayed it with the bleach and it didn't seem to come back, so it was pretty good. It's an acre. Oh, that's right, 10 minutes close to your apartment. I do remember you telling me that now. Yeah, on an acre. That's awesome. So was it there like a roof leak? Did it get water in that way and that's what grew the mold, or how does it's because it's a trailer, so it's off the ground, right? I mean, it's not in contact with the ground. It had to provide some kind of leak or something. Well, we should wrap it up. It's been 2.5 hours. But I think I'm going to wrap it up. Go to bed. I got to wake up. Not that I got to wake up early, but I'm trying to make the most of my time here. I try to wake up and get working by 8 o'clock or so. Bleach, bleach, bleach. Yeah. Yep. Bleach and let it dry. But again, though, if the roof's leaking or something, you got to take care of that, or it'll just keep coming back, right? Yeah, rest up. I'm a night person anyway, because I work second shift, so I'm usually up to 1 o'clock anyway. But I try to. But when I'm here, like when I'm home, I can sleep in. Although I usually don't sleep past 7:30 or 8 anyway. But while I'm here, I try to get up and start working by 8 o'clock. And that doesn't seem terribly early to people that work first shift. But when you get out of work at 11 at night and you stay up till, I force myself to go to bed at 1. So I come here for the week. My body's still in that mode. I can stay up. I can stay up till 4 o'clock. I mean, I got to force myself to go to bed. And even then, sometimes I lay there and I can't sleep. But I just got so much to do that I got to try to force myself to switch that schedule. I'm completely tearing the trailer and addition part down, putting a new building. Oh, had a roof leak and had no heat for years. Okay. So, yeah. All right. Good night. Night, Tim. Well, night, Daniel. Thanks for coming in. Bizza, thanks for coming. Ronaldo, David, Mayday, everybody that came in. England 713. That might be somebody new. I don't think I saw you yet, but hopefully I'm not missing anybody. I appreciate all you guys, and thanks again for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. It means a lot, and I appreciate all my subscribers. And hopefully I'm going to have an episode next week. This is the week I might actually skip because I've been spending all my time working here, and I haven't really had that time to spend developing the story, writing the story. But I'm going to try to bang one out, but I don't know. Have a great week. Thanks, Bizza. You too, brother. I hope everything's going well with you. And you're working a lot. That's probably good, right? So it's good, and then it's tiring at the same time. But thanks for your support, brother. I appreciate it. Everybody, thank you all once again. Thanks for coming in, watching, commenting, and all your positive feedback on the series. I appreciate it. And I'm going to try to do these live feeds fairly regularly. Like, it'll be a late night thing when I get out of work. So I'm not sure if I'm going to pick a certain day or whatever. But again, thanks all for watching. Everybody have a good night. God bless you.